So we're about to install an espressoDECK into this bench top. We want to first of all open the box and read the manual front to back. There's a lot of useful information there for you. Also, you'll find in the brochure, as well as in the manual, all the relevant cutout dimensions. This job needs to be done by a carpenter. There are dangers involved, so select the right tradesman for the job. We need to keep in mind power, water and waste that might be underneath this bench top, so just inspect the site prior to cutting. So we've got the hole cut out here. We're about to get the espressoDECK, a 2 group, and drop it into position. So here we have our 2 group. This is a black nickel, beautiful finish. It's an electroplated finish. So we're just going to, first of all, remove the locking nuts there, gently flex the side and remove the Perspex cover. Place that somewhere carefully as it is fragile. Then this is really a 2-person job. I like to remove unnecessary weight, and this allows you to get your hands in to a safe position. We simply pop the machine onto the counter, keeping in mind not to scratch the bench top. I like to pass all my cables through, first of all, so they're not being pinched. Just pass all those through. Okay, so I like to put my espressoDECK roughly into position on the angle. This allows for a nice easy drop in. Dropping in is a 2-person job. So I like to make sure the back is on first, slide it down, it's that easy. So make sure you follow the manual, and now we're up to installing the waterline, the pump, filter, pressure limiting valve. Performing an installation of any appliance requires a trained technician. We are dealing with power and water. It needs to be done properly by a qualified tradesperson. So we are organising our cabling. It's important that this is a nice, neat job. Makes it a lot easier and safer. You'll find the water pump in the box, so get that out. It's important to keep in mind where you're going to position your water pump. I like to have it bolted up and off the ground for cleaning purposes. Some establishments will actually literally hose down the floor, so to have this tucked up and out of the way is good. Have it somewhere where you can access it, because from time to time you will need to service the pump. So we're about to start the installation of the water line. That's what I like to do first. We'll connect the espressoDECK to the pump. I've installed the pump up and underneath this bottom shelf. All of the fittings are compression fittings. No Teflon tape is required. The metal to metal compression fitting seals. So in your box you'll find the wire wrap hose. That's really good for going around bends. When installing your wasteline, everything's got to flow downhill. The end of the wasteline should be just at the top of the P-trap or the waste container. It shouldn't be allowed to be submerged underwater, as airlocks will stop the water from flowing quickly. The wasteline, cut off any excess such that it just goes to the surface and it's not going to be submerged under the water. Now that we've got our wasteline and our mains water connected, we now want to connect to electricity. Installing high voltage and high amperage appliances can be dangerous. This needs to be done by an electrician, and the adequate power supply needs to be delivered. Now that we have our water, waste and electricity installed, we'll go and insert the drip trays and start to test. So first what we do is turn our main switch to position test or 1 depending on your model. We'll go to test. The machine's now going to be filling up. Again, we want to look for leaks as it's doing that. That should take only about a couple of minutes to completely fill. If it takes longer than a set period of time and the lights start flashing, then you may have a problem with your water supply. I would recommend turn it to off and go through the test program again. It may simply have needed more time. So if it has filled successfully, there's no flashing lights indicating an error has occurred, we can now switch to number 2 or on, depending on your model. Now we wait 5-10 minutes for it to actually come up to pressure. Again, standing by, watching for any leaks that may occur. At this point as well, you can fill the chambers, the heat exchange unit chambers, ensuring that water is flowing through all of that properly. Now's the time when you can check that your waste is flowing nicely. Put the cover back on. So once again, we just gently flex that to make it past all the components. That simply slides in there and then is gently located onto the bolts that protrude there, and then just gently lock it on with the locking nuts. Now all we have to do is wait for it to come up to pressure, and then it's time to start making some coffee.